Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome to another week. This is the Live Life Aggressively show. Sincere Hogan, that's me. Got Mike Mahler on the other side. What's going on, dude?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited about our guest today. My favorite guest ever, actually, on the show, definitely this year, and one of the most impactful guests, well, actually the most impactful guest I think we've ever had. I think our listeners can definitely agree with that. So Ty Ritter's back, and we're going to talk to him in a second. Real quick, I just wanted to plug his book. He has a book called A Guide for Parents, My Body is My Own, The Complete Child Protection Handbook by Ty Ritter. And you can get this at Amazon.com. And this, not only is this a must for any parents out there, I think it's a must for any concerned citizen, period. You know, I don't have kids, but I'm concerned about the welfare of kids in my neighborhood or around the world. And I want to be aware of all these things myself so that when I'm walking my dogs or I'm out and about and I see something that's fishy, I can spot it immediately and act on it. So this is a book for really everyone should get. And it also helps Project Child Save, Ty's organizations. Not only is this good information for you to have and for your community, it helps his organization and all the great efforts he's doing.
Exactly. So, you know, I know some of you guys out there are, you know, educators as well. You know educators, and this is a great guy. You know, it's a gift. It's the holiday season right now. You're looking for gifts. Look, man, forget the socks. Okay, stop it. Forget the ties. You know, forget cologne, forget the jewelry for the ladies, whatever. You know, grab this book and get it to folks, man, and help spread the word. That's a good gift right there, because the even better gift is knowing that people are in a position of power where they can help save someone. If you hear the phrase all the time, if you see something, do something. Well, a lot of times people don't know what to do. And that's the reason why so many people don't do anything. So one thing about it, once you have that resource and have those skills and you have those tips on what you can do, now you feel a little bit more confident that you can do something. You don't feel so helpless. And this book can really help you be in that position to do so. So, yeah, grab that. There's your gift for the holidays right there, folks. So hop over to Amazon, go to Ty's site. There's pretty much other places where you can get the book, but there's no excuse not to get it. So grab it.
And just speaking on that topic of gifts for people for the holidays, I think the best gifts you can give someone are to make a donation to an organization that is meaningful to that person, rather than buying them just material things that are going to end up at the Goodwill, probably
or white elephant gifts. Yeah, going to end up being white elephant gifts. They're going to re-gift it. You're talking about next year you're going to see it again, but it's coming back to you. You're like, wait a minute. I bought someone something just like this. Yeah, it was me. It's yours. Now, take it. So this is how you can eliminate all that stuff, man, and just less consumption of just stuff that people probably really don't care about. So, yeah, find an organization that really means something to them and donate to that, man. And that right there that's a more impactful gift, big time, for the person that really cares about that organization and that cause and those involved in that cause. So, yeah. And there's plenty of causes around me. Trust me.
No doubt. Yeah, there's several. We've had several great organizations on the show. So whatever, you can find something that's meaningful to any individual out there. But actually, speaking of people making donations, the last time Ty was on the show, several of you made donations. And one guy in particular, I don't want to say his name because he may not want this ostentatious credit, but he's donating $500 a month. So that's a really nice donation to make. So props to you. You know who you are. And if you actually do want to have your name mentioned on the show for doing that, we'll be happy to do it. But I figure generally when people are that generous, they're doing it because they're not looking for name recognition. They want to help the cause. So I didn't want to just throw your name out there without getting your permission. But that was very nice of you to do. And several of you are donating $10, $5, $20. It all helps. You know, don't feel like, well, I can't donate $500. You don't have to donate $500. If we get 1,000 people donating $10, that's meaningful. It adds up to a lot.
Exactly. So don't sell yourself short, man. Every little bit counts. So,
and if you want to do an indirect donation, all you need to do is use that coupon code LLA, go to our websites, get 10% off. The more you support us, the more we'll support people like Ty. Exactly. So one way or another, you're going to be supporting Project Child Save, whether you realize it or not. If you support our respective businesses and the show, you're supporting him as well.
Exactly. So there you go, man. So, hey, man, let's talk to the man himself.
All right, Ty, good to have you back.
Hello. Thank you for having me again. I really appreciate it.
The pleasure's ours.
The last time you were on was a very illuminating episode, and I'm sure this one will be as well. But right now, in particular, you're looking to raise funds for a very precise purpose. I wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, We have intel people out there working all the time, and between them and different organizations, we've spotted something that we've dubbed the hub. And we had run into one once before where they're bringing a lot of children in and then funneling them out throughout South America. And it's been a goal of ours to try to find another one. And the one that we found gave us the most children we've ever rescued at one time, 52 children. And because of the geography, the distance, it's very expensive, fuel for our plane, and et cetera. It's just the price goes way up on rescuing these kids. That one cost us $18,000. Well, we got 52 kids out. That's $346 and some loose change per child. That's pretty cheap to save a child's life, to get them out of harm's way.
Right.
And it just was a wonderful thing to take so many children. But this new hub that was discovered, they're running over twice as many children through it. And the cost is going to be about $40,000. And you know, if there's a couple hundred kids there, that's about $200 a child. You know, right. It's you can't buy freedom for someone enslaved for that kind of money. As a matter of fact, two of our guys got into a child pornography ring, and we were looking for a specific child, and found the child and offered them. We were posing as pornographers, and we offered them $80,000 for that child, and they immediately said they wanted $200,000 for the child. That's probably about the amount of money that child's going to make in her lifespan with them. So getting them back for chump change, $346 a child, you can't beat that. And a lot of people don't realize it, but they're being trafficked, these children, but some of them, most of them, are very, very young. I've brought back as young as 3 years old. If I had to guesstimate an average age, I would say 8 or 9. And they just, when they're pumped full of drugs and they aren't getting any medical attention and they're diseased, they don't last too long. These children are fragile creatures, and now the drug cartels have gotten involved with the children, and they don't treat the children like merchandise. They're very brutal with the children, and we've rescued children from them on occasions, and find them with broken bones, unattended. And we almost lost a child with a broken femur, a compound fracture. The doctors said that another 7-8 hours, and she wouldn't have made it. It's actually a small miracle that she stayed alive as long as she did, but an older child that was with her, her mother, was a triage nurse, and had, in her spare time, was teaching her kid different things to do in an emergency. And it was that child who bandaged and stopped some of the bleeding on this other child. Or if that hadn't happened, she would have been gone when we got there. And the cartels are just so brutal. I can't remember if I told you about a rescue that we did, the last one we did with the cartels, when we're all through and we start looking for any children hiding. We don't want to leave any children behind. We got to this back area, And right outside the back door, there was a child in a wheelbarrow. This is a little difficult. It takes me back to the moment. A child in a wheelbarrow, and she had been there for a day and a half, 2 days. Rigor mortis had set in, and they had all of her trash and beer cans on top of her in this wheelbarrow. That's who we're dealing with. That's the type of people that do these things. And when they get so many children that losing them for whatever reason doesn't matter to them. And it's very difficult to deal with. My team are very hardened people. Many of them are war veterans, and I've seen them fall to their knees in tears. And when you take a child out of that wheelbarrow, for the first time we had to use a body bag, a child's body bag, and the team members had to straighten her out, and that's something that stays with you the rest of your life. It's devastating to know about it, much less deal with it personally. So we got a war going on, and the prize is the children. So we're doing our best to get as many of them as we can.
Yeah, and the horrible situations you're describing, this is exactly what you're rescuing these children from. So when people make donations, this is what you're doing. You're getting kids out of these horrible situations. Where are you at right now with the fundraising for this mission? How close are you to your goal?
Our goal is 40,000. To be honest with you, I could do it probably for 36, but I hate cutting corners, especially if it involves the safety of the children or the team. We've raised 23,000 so far. Excuse me, 24,000.
Okay.
24,000 so far. So we've got a ways to go. And the good part about this is that location has been there since before last Thanksgiving. It was reported by Interpol to the host country way back then, and the host country's done nothing about it. And we're going to try to do something about it.
So basically, if everyone who's listening to the show right now, if you donate $10, every single one of you donate $10, we'll get Ty past that goal. And then he and his team can go in there and rescue all of those kids from the horrible situation he just described.
Well, $5, $10, $100, it all goes to the rescue. Equipment or exactly to the rescue. No one takes a salary. Every person I've got that works for us are volunteers. So when you donate, I was contacted a while back by a boiler room type company that guaranteed me $1 million in 6 months. And I said, well, what percentage do you keep? And they said 90 cents on every dollar. I said, that's stealing. You can't do that. The very best one that notified me took 60 cents of every dollar. And still, that it's a catch-22 for me, because you save a lot of children for that kind of money. But somebody hands me $1 and I say, thanks for the 10 cents. Thanks for the 40 cents. I just doesn't sit with me well. So when anybody ever calls you asking for donations, always ask what percentage. By law, they have to tell you what percentage goes to the charity that you're asking about. And I think you'll be very surprised. Very surprised.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are reluctant to donate to various organizations, because they don't want to pay for someone's trust fund or someone's Hawaii vacation or get stuck in administrative fees. That's why it's great that people are aware of an organization like yours, because they can rest assured that their entire donation is going 100% to the cause.
You bet. You bet. We've gotten awards. You can go on the website. It would be under awards and testimonies. Parents who have written letters and thanked us, and awards that we've gotten. From the Senate, from the Assembly, from the County of Los Angeles, from the City of Hope, the House of Representatives. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of awards and stuff from them, and we're a Gold Star charity. And those guys really, they don't just throw out the award and that's it. They monitor you. I remember a couple of years ago, I got an extension because one of my volunteers lost a whole bunch of receipts. I got an extension, and I went from a Gold Star to a Silver Star, and I did not get the gold back until I filed that tax thing. So they really watch you. I was shocked, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing because there's so many bad people even involved in charities. You just have to be careful where your dollar goes. Our administrative cost has never exceeded 4% of what we bring in, and my books are open to anybody, anytime. You got any questions about me? As a matter of fact, people have gone to the FBI and said, I feel you're not looking for my child anymore. I've contacted a charity that's willing to help us get our child back, and the FBI would say, "Oh, you don't want amateurs or mercenaries. They'll get your child killed. You don't want to do that." Now, today, I've had people call me and tell me that they've done that, and they are checking up on me and asking, are these people legitimate? And the FBI comes back with, they're for real. So now I give the FBI as a reference.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
So where can people make these donations? If someone listening right now wants to make a donation, where do they go?
They can go to the website, Project Child Save, SAVE, .org, and make a donation through PayPal, or they can send a check if they like having the check to Project Child Save at 2629 Foothill Boulevard, number 230, La Crescenta, California, 91214. And you can send a check that way or a PayPal. Either way works very well. And I ask a lot of people, because some people, they want to give, but they forget to give each month. And I say, you can go to PayPal, go to our website, and you can get on and make a monthly donation of $5, $10. And if you forget about it, you're not going to get hurt, for that kind of money. And it really helps us. Really helps us. Like you said, if everybody gives $10 or $5, we can save a lot of kids.
No doubt.
A lot of kids.
And is $10 really going to be something you feel, talking to the listeners, is that really going to affect your lifestyle one way or the other? It's like, man, ever since I started giving that $10, now I can't do X, Y, Z, or whatever it is anymore. It's not going to, you're not going to feel it giving away $5, $10 every month.
It's a reasonable request, and it's going to a cause that is very, very important. The trafficking of children for sex has grown so much over the years, and most governments have just, if they've done anything, it's just window dressing about it. And of course, where these people deal, the countries they deal in, there's so much corruption. They make payoffs to law enforcement and to other authorities, and they're free to do whatever they want to do. And they're getting away with it. And most importantly, if a child's taken from anywhere in the world, so how about La Crescenta, California? Who is looking for that child in Saudi Arabia or in Bolivia? I said Saudi Arabia because we had a rescue for a child that came out of La Crescenta. It's almost a neighbor of mine.
Wow. Well, that's one thing you mentioned in your book is sometimes kids disappear and the body is never found and no one knows what happened to them. And the reason is those kids are no longer even in the U.S. anymore. They're in South America, possibly. They could be in Saudi Arabia. They could be in Asia. They could be anywhere in the world. And no one's looking for them. In some cases,
that's very true. Very true. Very true. I mean, you look at the number of children that are missing. You can go on the web and you can go to the greater Houston area and look up how many children are missing without a trace, not connected to family or friends, just vanished. And you'll be shocked at the numbers that come at you annually that are missing without a trace. Now, if they're still around, the average pedophile, he's doing his thing and turning the child loose. There are those that are killing the children afterwards. Where are the bodies? Why isn't backpackers and fishermen and park rangers stumbling over shallow graves?
Right.
Because we're talking about a lot of children in the greater LA area, 400 annually. I haven't looked it up in a long time, but the last time it was 5 counties, 400 children annually missing. But they don't end up in the news because they aren't a beautiful blonde in a setting like Aruba. They're just not newsworthy.
Right.
And I think it was not Dallas, Austin, Texas, released theirs a couple years ago, and it was 900 children that year vanished without a trace. And now these traffickers have started preying on the gambling towns, Vegas, Reno, Tahoe. Those police officers are just overwhelmed with missing persons.
Yeah.
You think about it, how many kids drop out of school, do whatever, and they want to be a showgirl, or they go to Vegas, and then they meet some guy and take off. Well, all their friends are looking for them and missing persons. They cannot keep up with it in a place like Las Vegas. The traffickers know that. And
Vegas attracts a certain type of person that often doesn't have connections that they're at least keeping up to date with, family, friends, etc. So they're more isolated. So someone could be kidnapped from Las Vegas and no one is keeping tabs on this person. So there isn't anyone looking.
You're right. The pimps, the pedophiles, and the traffickers hang out at the bus stations and the airports, and they're watching mainly the bus stations, and they're watching for that kid that gets off all by themselves, looks to be about 14, 15 years old in that area, and they're grabbing them up. They're giving them a place to stay, buying them some clothes and feeding them and getting them indebted to them. And then that's the beginning
of
a very, very bad, sad road for these children. And we're trying to get some laws changed on the prosecution of young girls for prostitution. It's just they're victims. What put them there? Were they being molested at home? Were they being beaten? Generally, it takes a lot for a child to run away from home. And now you're going to throw them in jail and give them a record.
Right.
They need to be helped. They need the help. So we're trying to change that, and we're getting great results. We have great police officers that want to do things and can't because of the higher up or budgets or whatever. But they're trying, and they're working on it, and they listen and they're learning. And we learn from them also. We're the luckiest country in the world. We have the greatest police force in the world. And that's why not as many children are missing from here as other countries, because we're talking millions of kids worldwide. But anybody ask how many children are being taken from America or around the world? Nobody knows. Everybody's guessing. Nobody knows. Yeah. It's a lot. I could stay busy year-round, and I'm just a little fish in the pond.
You know, one of the things you mention in your book is you talk about how pedophiles often show off about how easy it is for them to go snag a kid. You mentioned one guy in particular told you, I could go grab this kid right now and be back in 15 minutes. Why is it so easy? Yeah, why is it so easy for kids to be targeted and snagged by these pedophiles?
Two reasons. One, parents aren't watching them close enough. The other reason is they're dealing with an innocence. You can tell a child, don't go with a man who wants to show you his kittens or his puppies or whatever. 2 days later, a month later, that guy shows up and says it, the kid's going.
Yeah.
It's an innocent child that not relating to the dangers in it. And there's a very good man out there named Ken Wooden, and he goes from school to school, and he actually goes to the PTA and talks to them, gets families together, and does a big talk on what to tell the children. You tell them tonight what they can do and they can't do, and puppies and kittens and all that stuff. And then you bring your kids to the park and you sit on the bench and let your kids play out there. And I'm going to show you how much attention they were paying to you. And he grabs up several of the kids. Always. I don't think he's ever failed getting them to come with him. And they do. How do you teach a child? You know, it's very difficult to teach a child the stranger danger. It's almost ridiculous because the mailman isn't a stranger. She sees him all the time. The ice cream guy, he's not only not a stranger, he's got ice cream.
Yeah.
You know, right. The neighbor who gives them a toy or whatever, who's a little overly friendly. You know, those aren't strangers to a child. It's much easier to teach them to fight and scream, and when someone takes you by the hand and you don't want to go with them. I mean, I think we've all been in a position one time or another, or seen when somebody says, well, let me, I picked up the kid, or let me have the kid and hold him, and this 2-year-old starts screaming and crying and hitting, and, you know, they fight back. If you can just put it in the head, get it in the head, if it isn't mommy or daddy or Uncle Bill, whatever, start screaming and fighting. And then we teach the public, you see a child doing that, you can approach, you can ask, you can see what's going on. You never know. And these people are just looking for a window. They're out there, and what they've started doing, the big traffickers, they have teams out there looking for that window to grab that child. But they've also, they get a hold of lowlifes, maybe drug addicts, whatever, and say, hey, bring me a redhead around 10 or younger. I'll give you $300. I'll give you $500. Bring me that kid. So now you've got a bunch of people out there looking for that window. And not very long ago, I don't know if I mentioned this on the last show I was on with you guys, but there was a traffic officer that works for the movies, and I see him all the time, and got to know him, and he read my book and stuff. And he came in one day, and we were on a shoot, and he said, I got to tell you this. I was at, I think it was a Macy's, and I was trying to match a pair of socks to a pair of pants. And I had my granddaughter with me, 2-year-old, and she was right beside me, and I was looking at these socks and holding them up against the pants, and he swore to me he didn't have his eyes off of that child for more than 30, 40 seconds. Looked down, and she's gone. Looked over to his right, and there was a Latin fella that had her by the hand and was heading for the door. And the officer was armed, went after him, and the man let go of the child and ran. He got away, and thank God he got his grandchild back. But that's how quick it happens. How hard is that? How hard is it when parents aren't anywhere around? Go to any mall and look at the youngsters running around. No supervision. It's not hard to do. And when they aren't going for a ransom, they're just after the child.
Right.
You know, once they get that child, it's pretty much no worries, including the border. If there's an Amber Alert, you got a better chance of stopping somebody at a border. But generally speaking, they're watching what's coming in, not what's going out of the country.
Right.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks, well, actually about a couple of months ago here in Houston at is an Asian grocery market here, and they actually showed the security footage of this. So a mother's there, her daughter's there next to the basket, and the daughter's in the basket, which is crazy. She's in the basket, and the mother's got her hand on the basket, the little handle where you're pushing the basket, whatever. So the mother's reaching over into one of the aisles to pick a product up. So she's right there in front of the child. So, the child's sitting in the little part of the basket where most kids sit, right there in the little front part or whatever. This dude just randomly walks up, and he is trying to take the child out of the basket, and the mother's just shopping. She's just looking for trying to get the item off the shelf. It looks almost staged. It doesn't even look real, because you would think, like, did you not feel your child moving and being pulled out of a basket? And the child, obviously, you got to wonder, because there was no sound on it, because it was one of those closed circuit TVs from like above. But you couldn't really hear anything. So you're wondering, like, did the child say anything? Were they making any noise? Were they saying, leave me alone? Who are you? Hey, mister, or something like that? Because everyone in the video looks unfazed until the mother turns around and she sees this guy, and then she starts swatting on him, like, stop, and kind of like trying to take his hand off the child. And dude, I don't know if he had like mental problems or what, but he's even looking like, what's wrong? Like, why not? Why can't I take this child? So it's so odd. Something's just that simple. So it had been a few more minutes, he probably would have just picked the child up and just walked out the store. But what's crazy is, like, there's no one stopping the guy or anything like that. So, yeah, so just think if that can happen, just imagine when you're not paying attention. And I know from a personal experience a couple of weeks ago before I was moving, I'm in the dog park with my dog, and both my dogs. And this little girl, I've seen her ride around our neighborhood before. She's obviously new. In the few years that we lived there, I've never really seen her until like the last couple of months. So she rides her bike a lot. But for some reason this day, and it was a school day, for some reason she wasn't in school because it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. She comes to the dog park and she just walks right in and she just sits down and just starts talking to me. And okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable as it is. It's broad daylight. I'm just like, okay. I'm like, is this a setup? Just like, what is that? Because she's supposed to be in school, first of all. It's like 2:00 in the afternoon. It's not a school holiday, because I have a child in school too, and I knew it wasn't a holiday. So I'm kind of looking around. And then also I'm like thinking two things. That protector in me is thinking like, okay, little girl, what are you doing? And I didn't want to scare her, but I was going to say, you shouldn't be doing things like this, walking up to random strangers and just talking. And number two, I'm also thinking like, I don't want any of our neighbors looking around like, okay, who is this guy? What is he? Well, what is he? We know him, but what is he doing with that little girl? Because here's this African American male sitting here with this Caucasian little female.
How old was the child?
And this is another thing I was about to get to. She loves dogs, and she's telling me about her, she's going to start a dog business. She wants to walk dogs, and she wanted to, see my dogs and all this. In probably the first 10 minutes that she was sitting there talking, she gave me everything. I knew that her parents were divorced, that her father's in New Mexico, that how many like squirrels her and her dad saved, and pretty much how her mother doesn't like animals, and her mom pretty much just lets her ride a bike by herself, and she told me the exact house where they lived and all these things. She gave me all this information. She was telling me what school she went to. Trust me, I'm not talking. I'm just like, whoa. I'm baffled for the fact how she's volunteering so much information. So, and she's 12 years old. She told me that, wow. So, and she told me she didn't have any siblings. So, all this information she gave me like within 10 minutes, just talking and talking and talking. I was like, God, I just really want to tell her, do not make it. Don't ever do this again. But at the same time, I don't want to scare her at the same time. So I was in a very conflicted place, and then eventually I'm just kind of like, I'm making a point to make sure that I'm petting my dogs. I'm kneeling down with one of my dogs. So I'm not necessarily close to her. So, no one's getting the wrong idea or anything. At the same time, not trying to scare her either, but she obviously is very brave. She's not afraid to a fault that she's not afraid. She's way too friendly. She's very personal. So, and then eventually when she said, well, I got to get ready to go because I have to go to my scout meeting, at blah, blah, blah. It gave me the information on that too, by 3:00, just steady, just giving up information. I'm like, oh my God. It's just like, I need to talk to this mother, and really tell her. But at the same time, I didn't want to, it was very, I don't know. It was such a strange situation. Because I'm like, this little girl, she's probably seen me a couple times, but most of the time when I walk my dogs is at night. So really, my neighbors don't see me walking my dogs. To the point that even in the dog park, when they saw me that time of the day, they were like, oh, are you new here? I'm like, no. She's like, we never see you guys, like, you just get these dogs? I'm like, we always have them. But we only walk them at night because, I don't like talking to everybody in my neighborhood. I have some very talkative neighbors. So I just want to walk my dogs in peace. That's my meditation time. And I have nosy neighbors. They ask a zillion and one questions. So, case in point. So anyway, like I said, it was just a very strange situation. And it made me think. And the first thing I thought about, Ty, while she was talking, I thought about you. And I thought about your book. I'm like, you know what? I just need to buy that book and just leave it at the mother's doorstep with a note in it. That's how I feel like that's one of the best ways I can help in this situation without necessarily scaring the mother. Especially because I'm pretty sure emotions are probably high because there's a recent divorce. She's moved from New Mexico to Houston, and and they're probably trying to adjust. And it was just really weird, man. It was so weird, and at the same time, it made me so aware of just like, wow, the stranger danger thing. It's not. I don't think that means what people think it means. When they say that. So.
Yeah, look at
exactly. That position was
saw you. If a police officer saw you and comes over and separates the child from you and starts asking the child, well, what were you talking about? And she said, well, I told him where I live, and they're going to think that you were pumping her for questions. You could have been in a lot of trouble.
Exactly.
Right. I think the problem is that this is such an uncomfortable topic for a lot of people that no one wants to discuss this. And my experience after the last time you were on the show, Ty, is I'm talking to my neighbors at the dog park, telling them about the episode, recommending they go check it out. And they changed the subject immediately. I couldn't even get a few sentences out before they they looked at me, the eyes got bigger. They're like, that's terrible. And then, bam, changed the subject immediately.
Yeah. It's I don't.
It's almost like people don't want to. No, like you said, like people don't want to know about this because somehow they think that makes it more likely to happen if they know about it, which is ridiculously absurd. But I think that's the irrational mindset. It's like, I don't want to know about this.
Well, actually, then I may attract it. Karma.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what you said last time you were on, which is so stupid, but that's kind of the irrational mind working.
Yes, it's and that mother, if you put the book on her doorstep, how worried is she? Allows the 12-year-old to ride a bike? Doesn't she watch the news? You know,
right?
Exactly. Well, here's another issue. Then I talk to Mike about this all the time. The issue is, it's a gated community, and people, when they have gated communities, they have this misconception that they're safe. They have a feeling that it won't happen here because we pay this high HOA fee. We have this security guard house out in front of the community, not within the community where you can actually see anything going on. And, now the security guard's not even manned anymore. So you have that and you feel like, hey, well, if something looks off, then our neighbors they'll say something in a little Facebook group or something like that. But like I said, there's this misconception that being in a gated community or a well-to-do neighborhood means that you are shielded from any type of crime and situation. But here's the deal. Like I always tell people in my classes, I teach my clients, it's like, look, no one is going in the hood, kicking doors open and doing armed robberies and trying to rob someone's project. Okay, because they know how poor you are because you live in the same neighborhood they do. So here's the thing. They're going to those well-to-do neighborhoods. They're going to those gated communities because in their minds they're thinking like, well, these people have money because, look at this. They got this little false fortress built around their community thinking they're going to keep us out. First of all, there's a whole challenge and dare in that in itself. And again, just like with that mother, you're thinking like, okay, school's out, for her daughter on that day or whatever. So during that day, mostly the only people around are going to be adults. It's going to be adults for that time because it's not, taking it back, I'm sorry, not the school was out, but the fact that it was not a school holiday. There was not going to be any other kids out. So if it's just going to be pretty much nothing but adults out during that time and the other kids are in school and your child is not, why are you not paying attention to your child? Because right now, they're ripe for the picking, for the fact that it's really easy for them to get snatched up because there are no other kids around to play with them or anything like that. So they'll make you even be more diligent. And again, like
you're a smart guy. I can tell you're a smart guy, but why are you talking common sense?
I know.
Don't you know common sense doesn't apply anymore?
Or if it ever did. It's like,
just doesn't apply anymore.
I know.
And you're 100% right. I can't count the times that I've been told, well, we live in a safe community and stuff. And I always come back with, well, that's what Sharon Tate thought too.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is a high-class community. It's not going to happen here. Exactly.
My thing is, the safe community, what do you live in a vault? Because that's about the safest you're going to probably get as far as the community. You're going to keep people out. So
otherwise, because they're a criminal doesn't mean that they're stupid. Like
right.
You said, they aren't going to rob from the next door neighbor.
No. Especially, in their own neighborhood where they're, the victim might actually know them or know their parents. Like, are you serious? Are you breaking in my house? I'm going to tell your mom. So, they're not going to do that, man. So.
Yeah, there's so many things you can do if your child's out. I think I told you about it last time. There's a letter on my website from a mother that did one of the things that she read in my book, and that was her daughter had to walk a couple blocks from school, and there was no way to get around it. She had to walk by herself, and I believe she was 10 years old, and Mom went to houses along the way and asked the stay-at-home parents, grandmas, whoever was at home, if my daughter has a problem, she's walking home from school, can she come to your door and get help? And I think she found 3 or 4 that said yes, by all means. And about a month later, the child was approached, and the guy tried to get her in the car. She broke loose, got away, and got to a house. The lady brought her in, called the police, and the guy got away. And about 2 weeks later, about 2 blocks away, child was taken and never seen again. So they kindly attributed my book to saving their daughter's life. There's so many things you can do, you know. Talk to your neighbors and find grandma that stays home and whatever, and give your child an out, you know, place to go if there's trouble, if you can't be there. Raising my daughter, we made the exceptions. We just made sure we picked her up. Mm-hmm. We found a way to do it. Not easy, but we picked her up and we dropped her off. Can't always be done, but there are other things that you can do, and it's common sense. You got a kid in school. It's all in my book. Everything from choosing the right daycare all the way up to the internet. You got a kid in school. Go sit on the street and see when they're out in the play yard. Is there supervision there? I think they'll be very surprised how much there is no supervision there.
Yeah.
And parents have a right. Walk into school and see what's going on. And schools should not be allowed to, especially the lower grades, they plaster the windows with all the work the kids have done, the drawings and everything. Principal can't even walk by and see what's going on in that classroom. Just tons of things you can do and you look for. That's why I did the book. It's people come up to me and say, "How can I keep my kids safer?" I don't have 3 hours to spend with you. Here's my book. I give them away more than I sell. But it's a tool that parents need to have.
I think the real underlying problem, though, is that a lot of parents don't think their kids are unsafe. They have a lot of illusions about that. We live in a safe neighborhood. Nothing bad's going to happen. I don't know anything bad that's ever happened to anyone around here, so I don't have to worry about it.
And there's also that, my kid's a good kid, which they think automatically keeps them away from bad people. Like that's a shield, And, you'd be surprised if you went on to your local municipality and looked for sex offenders in your neighborhood, no matter how great your neighborhood is. You'd be surprised how many sex offenders are already in your neighborhood that are registered.
You bet.
That's something you should do something. You should do that every month. Don't wait for the postcard to come out and get an update when one's moved in or whatever. Check, be diligent. I do it all the time just to see. We
go on your computer and go to sexoffenders.com. You not only know where they live, the address, you get a picture of them.
A picture of them, exactly. And
I've
most
got,
likely
within 2 miles of my house, I've got 21 sex offenders.
Yeah.
Speaking of sex offenders, pedophiles, or however we want to phrase it, there's a lot of myths about their mindset as well that you break through in the book. And one is that this is learned behavior. So, for example, someone was molested as a kid, and as a result, they're more likely to be a child molester when they grow up, which you feel is inaccurate. Do you feel that most pedophiles are just wired that way? Most, if not all. They're just genetically programmed to be the way they are.
I lean that way because dealing with them and talking to them, and I spent a great deal of time at a prison talking with them, and surprisingly, they're very open. They look at it like I'm afflicted, if you want to call it something bad. Go to a homosexual and tell them not to be a homosexual anymore.
Right.
They're not wired that way. They can't not be what they are. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing or whatever. Well, it is with pedophiles.
Right.
But and I want to be clear,
pedophiles are dealing with pedophiles
on the gay community because I have had so much help from the gay community in my efforts.
And those are consenting adults, so that's a totally different scenario, of course, than a pedophile who feels, hey, I'm wired this way, so this is just who I am. The problem with that is that the kid is not consenting. The kid can't consent. While with anyone else, you're dealing with consenting adults.
But they think it's all right. They think the whole thing's okay. And one of the excuses they use is, well, it wasn't too long ago that it was okay to not only have sex with, but to marry a 12-year-old or whatever. But that was back in the day.
Some parts of the world, it's still...
They still do that, exactly.
Yeah. Afghanistan, Middle East, etc.
But they depend on it. And look at NAMBLA, their motto, after 8 is too late. If they're old enough to bleed, they're old enough to butcher.
You have to breed, yeah.
Like that. They're very blunt about it. A pedophile only shows remorse when he's being arrested, when he's about to be sentenced, and when he's trying to get paroled. Can they stop? Yeah, there's been those who have controlled their impulses, but not nearly as many as those who are repeat offenders. You got to keep in mind, though, with the traffickers, many of them are not pedophiles. Most of them are not pedophiles. They're in it for the money.
Exactly. They're business people. Yeah.
Exactly. They're like brokers for the pedophiles, basically.
Yep.
They're providing the product. You know, they're just like a drug dealer. You know, they're providing the drug for these pedophiles. Like, hey, I got what you need. You know?
Hey, everybody's in on the thing. We're now working against a couple of travel agencies that book sex tours. For children.
Yeah, I heard a lot about those, especially like in Costa Rica and you know, like Latin America and
Thailand, I'm sure.
Thailand, yeah, exactly. Philippines.
Yeah, and the biggest booker comes out of Japan, sad to say. An agency a travel agency that specifically books those. And we're trying to deal with the Japanese about that. There's just so much of it everywhere, and it has grown so big. There's my arch enemy. His oldest son is working with him. His youngest son is working with him. As a matter of fact, his youngest son is in Portugal, and he handles children out of Europe that are funneled down to Portugal, and he funnels them down to Brazil, where his father is. And remember little Maddie who was taken? The doctor and his wife went to dinner and left the child and another child in the room by themselves in Portugal. The youngest son is headquartered about a little less than 2 miles from where she was taken. Very good chance that his group got her. And very good chance she was funneled down to Brazil. But takes a lot of money to investigate and follow up and go on it. And the Portuguese police just wanted to wash their hands of it. They weren't getting anywhere. And they built up a little bit of a phony case. They said that they discovered DNA and hair samples in the trunk of the parents' rented car. The problem with that is the parents didn't rent the car until 2 days after the child was gone. So they were just trying to place the blame someplace.
Right.
Because they weren't getting anywhere with their investigation. But that's the sort of thing. We want to build a war chest someday. The money comes in and it goes right out on a rescue. And if we could build a war chest when we hear about something like that, and I have that kind of information, we can get there in a hurry and see what's going on. And I would have put people in Portugal, and I would have put people on the father and the places he runs in Brazil, because I know where most of them are, and of course they've made their payoff, so they end up staying there, and see if that child showed up. I think there would have been better than a 50-50 chance that that's where she went, since it was such a clean getaway. Yeah. Absolutely no trace of anything afterwards. So someday we'll get that war chest and be able to move instead of hearing about something and then trying to raise the money to do something about it. It's just an uphill battle, and always has been, probably always will be, and man being what he is, will never stop it. But in my lifetime, I'd really like to put a big dent in it. We're off to a good start, and I'm training somebody to take my place when I can't do it anymore. So
yeah, that was one of the questions from when we spoke to you last, and I don't think we got around to. It's just like, how do you prepare to keep everything going? Because again, that's the one thing about being the main figurehead in an operation. And you hear so many things, like no matter what, even though this is a nonprofit situation, it's still somewhat a business. And the way for it to be successful is also always to have a system in place where it can be replicated should the main person, be removed, or remove themselves from it, whether it be health or whatever else. So, yeah, that was one of the concerns from the last time we talked. I was wondering, okay, what happens when Ty is gone? How does it keep going? So it's good to hear that you're grooming someone, to take it from there.
Plus, you have a very competent team as well. That's been working with you for a long time. So it seems like there's several people. Seems like there's several people in your team that could transition into doing what you're doing if necessary.
Yeah, it's more of a matter of who wants to take my place rather than whose ability to do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But it will go on. It's the type of people I have. One of my men was wounded on a rescue, and he was hitting the tailbone, and it splintered the bone some, and he had a very, very hard time of it. For weeks he was sitting on a pillow, and I asked him, I said, "Is this it? You done?" And he looked at me and he said, "No, I'm not done, but I'm not going tomorrow. I'd like a little time off. But, I'm not done." And that's the caliber people I have. They have sold their cars to get the rest of the money. And that always breaks my heart. They're putting everything on the line to do these rescues, and they got to fund them too. They just recently, one of them sold a car trying to put together the money for this big one. And they're always hitting their parents up and their friends up and doing what they can to keep it going. It always happens. The good Lord opens the door for me. Somewhere along the line, He opens the door for me. And we stay busy.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where you kind of wish you weren't needed,
Well, I wish for that day too.
Yeah.
I think my favorite saying is, I don't ever want to have to do it again. But I can't wait for the next one, because when we're successful, the reward is so great.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the world better than bringing home a child thought lost forever, or getting them to safety. You know, if a child was sold by the parents, they end up being in the orphanage where they have good care, and they become citizens, and they get adopted out if parents can't be found. It's all good. It's all good. I've worked with these orphanages for so long and helped them mold into what we felt was the best conditions, and they're very well funded. One is funded by a very large brewery. Another is funded by one of the richest men in Mexico, and they want for nothing. They went from barracks type living for the children to individual houses with house parents, their farms and their ranches, and the children are assigned animals to take care of, and they got swimming pools and infirmaries. The last time, one of the times that went out, I broke my left arm, and they x-rayed it, set it, and put a cast on it at the orphanage. They don't want for anything. We've often offered to help, give them some money when we drop off a load of kids, and they, no need, we're doing just fine. So it's working. It's all working good. The only part that's troublesome is raising the funds to do it. But that's true with everybody I know that's actually in the trenches doing the work are hand to mouth.
Yeah.
All hand to mouth. And there was a very large car dealership here just recently that had a black tie sit-down dinner to raise money for the athletic team gear, I guess, for a new school that was put in, and they raised $270,000 in a couple of hours. That's hard to swallow when you're telling people I could save up to possibly 200 children for $40,000 and can't do it.
Right.
A hard time doing it. It's difficult.
Well, it's very disheartening, and I think it's because it's odd, but something like that equipment fundraiser, everyone feels good about that, right? It's like, oh, this is great. We're helping the team. We're helping the school. Now, your world, people should feel good about it, but they don't necessarily want to know about it. So once they know about it, they're like, oh, this is terrible. So let me just compartmentalize this and not think about it again, as opposed to, okay, now that I know about this, let me do as much as I can about it, which is a much healthier response. But it also seems like a more rare response based on your experience and then my limited experience as well, just talking to random people about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was expecting that the last time you were on the show, right, it was so impactful, and we had thousands of people listen to that episode. I was hoping to get, a call from you going, Mike, you're not going to believe this, but the last time I was on your episode talking to you and Sincere, $100,000 has come in, within weeks of that episode. That's what I was hoping to hear. Because what are these thousands of people doing? I don't understand how thousands of people can listen to that episode and then just go on with whatever they were doing. You listen to the episode, so do something about it. Go donate $5, donate $10, go donate $1. That's the part that doesn't get me.
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you said people just have a hard time dealing with it. I think I told you before, I don't get invited to barbecues and parties because sooner or later somebody's going to ask me what I do. And I say, I just don't work for a living. And somebody else says, well, tell them about your charity. it's a night killer. It just ruins.
Well,
ruins
people need to stop. People need to stop thinking about how they're feeling and thinking about how the kids are feeling that are in the situation. That's number one. And I'll give you a weird analogy, but it's in the same vein. You know, I have one of my rescue dogs is an older guy. He's a Cocker Spaniel. He was 15 when I got him. He's 16 now. And I was talking to one of the ladies at the dog park, and she's like, "Oh wow, you know, I could never do that. I would feel terrible because the dog may pass." And I was like, "Yeah, you know, I didn't really think about how I'm going to feel. I was thinking about how he feels, you know, being 15 stuck at a shelter." And her exact words were, "Oh, I didn't think of it that way." It's like, that's the fucking problem right there. You know, you're thinking about how you're going to feel. I was like, I don't care about how no one asked you how you're feeling. You know, think about how the animal's going to feel. So bringing that back to your world, it's like, oh, this is terrible. It makes me feel bad. So I don't give a fuck how you feel. Think about how these kids are feeling in this situation. These kids are being tortured and going through horrendous acts. Frankly, I mean, it wouldn't be illegal at all to show. I mean, it wouldn't be legal to show exactly what goes on. But in a large extent, that's what people need to see to take in the full impact of the situation and actually do something about it.
Well, I am so hesitant to do that. I told you about the girl in the wheelbarrow, and I tossed that around for 2-3 days as to whether I would do that or not, because it's going to cause some people to shut it down and not listen, and others to feel sick and stuff. But I've always said I don't sugarcoat or dance around the subject, and it's important that people know what these children are going through. It's just very important. So I do it, but there's limits to what I can say. The little girl in a wheelbarrow is a terrible, terrible thing. Very difficult for everybody involved. But on a scale of 1 to 10, it's on the lower range of what we've seen. So, I mean, we've seen things that Satan himself choreographed. It's just unbelievable that human beings can do some of the things we've seen to other human beings, especially to children, especially. You know what, gentlemen? I really hate to do this because I'm really enjoying this, but I have a meeting I have to go to that I'll be late to at 2 o'clock.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, no problem.
You guys, 15, 20 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah, we know.
Well, you know, I enjoy it so much because you guys get it. You understand the situation. I get interviews sometimes, and I can tell the interviewer is getting a glazed look over his eyes, and he has no idea of what it's about. You know, it's very important for people to know it's not about Democrats, Republicans, Jews, Muslims, Catholics. It's about the children, and not just American children, all the children.
Sure.
We have a principal child that we're going after. There's always more there. I never kept track when it was a secret what I did. Started in 1975, 2005 became a charity, and we started counting the children. And right now we're just under 700 children saved. The actual count, I have no idea. I couldn't begin to guess. Like I said, there's always more children there than what we counted on. So you guys get it, and it is so appreciated. And it's been a wonderful help. A lot of little donations, and like you said, the good fellow that I won't say his name either. I would have before you said he might not want it.
I'm sure he doesn't mind. I just feel kind of when someone makes a nice donation like that, often it's coming from a place of, they're not looking for exposure. They're not looking for a pat on the back. That's someone who wants to do some real good. Anyway,
he's a wonderful man, and I wrote him a letter, and I don't think he can fathom how much that helps us. Just knowing that's there once a month. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Well, hey, great having you back on. We don't want to hold you up. Great having you back on. Everyone can go over to projectchildsave.org. Make a donation right now. If you're driving, pull over. Make a donation.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this. But if you're at home on your computer, go make a donation right now. If you're driving, pull over, make a donation. Do it right now, though. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't say you're going to do it next week. Don't say you'll do it next month. Do it today. Don't feel that like, well, I want to make $100 donation, but let me wait for my next paycheck. Just make a $10 donation today, and you can make a bigger donation later.
Exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what. We can't notify people and tell them what their money's done. But if you guys would be kind enough, I'd love to come on after each rescue and let people know what their money's done.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
I can't get into details, and I have to wait to let the dust settle on the rescue. But as soon as that happens, I'd be happy to come in and tell you what the money's done.
You know what would be great, just real quick, and I don't know how plausible this is, but if we could ever get a kid that you rescued that's now an adult to come on with you
great.
And talk about what your work has affected her, that would be incredible if we could pull something like that off.
Exactly. Or even the parents,
I stopped monitoring them a long time ago after one child committed suicide. I used to follow up on them and see how they're doing and stuff. And when that happened, I just stopped doing it. But I did get a call about 6-8 months ago. A lady on the line said, "You don't know who I am, do you?" And I said, "No, I don't." And she said, "You rescued me 30 years ago."
Wow.
And then she said who she was, and I think we both started crying. She's now a mother. She said that she wants to help. She's in Tennessee. She wants to help, but she now has an 8-year-old that she does not want to know that she was ever trafficked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she wants to remain anonymous. I have not talked to her but once since that phone call, and I can try to see if she's willing to do that.
Yeah, and she could come on anonymously as well. We don't have to say her name or where she lives or anything like that.
I can do that. I think I'll call her and see.
I think that would help a lot. Yeah, I think that would help a lot.
I was shocked. She contacted me out of the blue, and it was a happy event.
Yeah, that's right. That must be very gratifying for you.
Yeah. Very nice. Very, very nice. Well, gentlemen, thank you again. Thank you for caring enough about the kids to have me on the show. And for any of your listeners that were listening the last time and donated, thank you very, very much. You cannot believe how much it helps us. Like I said, $5, $10, $20, $100 goes a long, long way.
Well, what I want to emphasize to the listeners before we let you go is we as a group have the power to get you way past that goal. just this show following alone. So sincere donates, I donate, we're doing our part, we're getting you on, but everyone listening can play a role in this as well, and we can easily get you past that goal so that this mission is a tremendous success. And it doesn't take a lot from each individual listening. It just takes a $10 donation. So if everyone listening right now makes a $10 donation, this mission that you're about to commence on will be a huge success.
Exactly. So
that's true. It would work. It would work. And I consider people who donate the other half of the team. When we don't have the money, I feel like a Ferrari pulling a U-Haul trailer. When we have the money, when the other half of the team gives us an engine, we can't do it without them. They are as responsible as saving these kids, and they have every right to say, I saved 19 kids last week, because we couldn't have done it without them. And I'm so grateful, so grateful.
Well, awesome, folks. Let's make this happen, everybody. Everybody listening right now, just let's do it now. Just get it going. So, because the sooner we do this, the sooner Ty and his team can take care of this mission and get it done and get these kids back to safety, man. So, time is of the essence. Again, like Mike said, don't wait till next week, next paycheck, any of that. Right now. Right now. That's all you got anyway, right now. That's the only thing that matters right now.
You're not going to feel. $10 is not something you're going to feel. I mean, if you're listening to the show and you're like, well, look, $10 can affect my life one way or another, then, you need to go get a second job, not listen to the show. You've got some, you got some financial issues to take care of. Because, come on, $10, you shouldn't feel that. That shouldn't be something that you hesitate whatsoever on every single month. Don't just do it for this mission. Make it a reoccurring donation where every month that $10 is coming right out.
Yep.
Well, thanks again, Ty. Always a pleasure to have you on. You're a really inspiring guy, and the work you do is incredible.
Yeah, thanks for everything you do, man. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and I will pass that on to the team because without them, I am nothing. They just make me look really good.
Well, let's get one of your team members to come on with you next time you're on. Whoever you think would like to come on. I think that would be interesting to hear.
If I do that, I got to put a shock collar on him. Make sure he doesn't say something he shouldn't say. I can do that. I can arrange that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
That'd be wonderful.
Awesome.
You take care.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you again, guys. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Ty.
much.
You have a great one. Thank you.
Later.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. So again, folks, projectchildsave.org is the website. Like I said, as long as you're not driving a car right now, go over there, check it out, make that donation. And then this is Thanksgiving week. So you have a great life, so it's time to pass that on.
Yep.
Instead of buying crap for people. Yeah. Instead of getting together with a bunch of relatives you don't really care to see.
Watch the football team.
Allocate those funds.
Cheer for that same team that's never going to win on Thanksgiving Day. Hoping Tony Romo does not play for the Cowboys this weekend. All that stuff. Let's just change it up. Let's mix it up a little bit this time around, man, and really show that we appreciate all the good things that have come to our lives and give it back. Here's one way you can do that. So, yeah, man. All right, man.
We'll wrap up there. Take care, everyone. Let's do our part in getting Ty over that goal, surpassing that goal by bigly, and getting him on that, making that mission as successful as possible.
Yep, let's make it happen, folks. All right, we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Bye.